Okay, I don't often like to delve into this kind of speculation. I'm more of a lore speculator than anything. But I have heard too much about this damn abyss to not talk about it. So let's try to settle on if there is a new FNAF game in the works. And if so, what's it going to be about? Slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. So this all comes down to people talking about some sort of teaser about the abyss. And I'll be honest, when I started hearing people vague post about, oh, there's teasers for the new FNAF game, I was incredibly skeptical. After all, the main evidence I heard was that, oh, Leon Riskin posted a new teaser, and yes, Leon Riskin is the genius composer behind most of the FNAF music, but he does other stuff too, like he's not just the FNAF music guy. So the fact that he's posting a teaser about music for a project he hasn't mentioned what it is yet, I was hesitant. Like, yeah, he does other jobs. It's not only FNAF. He's not just the FNAF guy. But out of fairness, I went to look for myself. After all, a lot of people I really respect were also saying there's legitimate claims here, so it's worth looking into. The main post people are referencing is for an upcoming project that he has not divulged the title of. Obviously, either legal or NDA or just being nice reasons, you don't talk about a project before it's announced. But the name he gave the project to refer to it is Forgotten Names and Faces, with the hashtags "Who will catch you when you fall into the abyss?" And this is the song. So, yeah, I was wrong. This is like 100% about FNAF. Let me break all of this information down for you. First of all, who will catch you when you fall into the abyss, while vague, is a reference to something, which becomes more clear when you listen again and closer to the song. Listening to the melody, it should sound familiar. Here's the new song. And here's the Help Wanted 2 Princess Quest song, Gracefully Into the Abyss. It's the same melody. This is the Princess Quest motif. It's been in every Princess Quest song that I can find. And just to put a cherry on top, if this wasn't a strong enough connection for you, the project name he teased is Forgotten Names and Faces. Capital F, capital N, lowercase a, capital F, shortened to FNAF. So this teaser is pretty much definitely something for whatever the next major FNAF installment is, whether that's a DLC or a full-fledged game. But that's not all Leon Riskin posted. This was the first post, but then he followed up soon after with this tweet, a lot of ellipses, followed by the hashtags, no more obvious hashtags except credit to Tom Woodliff, with this image of an excerpt from the poem Abyss by Tom Woodliff, which reads, "In deepest, darkest depths of my despair, I find myself without a saving grace. A pendulum of pain prevents my prayer from rising upward through the dead of space." So yeah, again, these mentions of the abyss, and frankly, his reaction to our reaction to his initial post has me convinced that this is a teaser for some sort of upcoming FNAF project. And that's awesome, and it's exciting to know that this is in the works. Obviously, we knew new FNAF stuff was going to come out, but the fact that music is being created for it means that there's some part of the way through. Don't expect anything soon, obviously this is still very early, but we know something is being worked on. But here's the real question, and the reason I'm here. Can we figure out what is being worked on? Can we take these disparate pieces and instead of just mentioning they exist, start to piece them together? Because I'm looking at this tweet, and my only thought is, don't you want to drink good beverages, eat soup, and, get a little caffeine in your system? Of course you do, which means you want GAMERSUPPS. It's really good, genuinely. I've been drinking the new flavor, Plowed and Proud, literally every day. It's a cran apple rhubarb, it's so good. But if you're gonna get some, use code RYTOAST for 10% off your entire order and support the channel in doing so. I'm telling you, this stuff is based, unlike whatever's going on behind me. I don't know, I'll figure it out in post. So what could all of these teasers be pointing to, especially as it pertains to the plot of an upcoming FNAF game? Well, obviously, we have links to Princess Quest. This song is sort of the main motif for anything Princess Quest related, and that game is sort of a calling card for anyone being overtaken by Glitch Trap. Princess Quest first appeared in Help Wanted Mobile, then Help Wanted General, then Security Breach, and then most recently in Help Wanted 2. They were arcade games where you play as the princess, and they seem to expose you to a digital entity in some way. Playing them in Help Wanted, there was definitely something weird going on, but there was never anything definitive that we could do by playing it. It's just something you could play. Security Breach is where that really ramped up, where you start off playing the Princess Quest game, and it seems like it almost makes you vulnerable to Glitchtrap itself, being locked in this dark room surrounded by this large rabbit-like entity. But the more you play it, the more you continue to expose yourself to Glitchtrap, but expose Glitchtrap to you as well. And playing through Princess Quest 3, which is almost a recreation of Help Wanted, we're able to, in some way, sever the connection between Glitchtrap and Vanessa. Vanessa being able to leave the Vanny mask behind and exit the Pizzaplex only after Princess Quest 3 is beaten. Whatever this game is, it serves as some connection between Glitchtrap and somebody he's taken over. And it seems like it goes both ways, either strengthening that bond or severing it. This further goes into what I think Princess Quest 4 is showing us. Vanny severing the connection of Glitchtrap from the player character and instead taking that role herself. Part of this is because I think M1 is trying to affect Princess Quest to weaken Glitchtrap, but we don't have time to talk about that here. The main point here is that every iteration of Princess Quest involves a victim of Glitchtrap. But that's not all we have here. After all, the project name Forgotten Names and Faces is worthwhile to mention as well. Not only is it an acronym for FNAF, but as vague as Forgotten Names and Faces is, I think we can glean some information as to what that might be referring to. I mean, we literally 3 months ago just got a game about a forgotten history of Fazbear Entertainment, a secret to the company, a secret of the Mimic. Edwin's name and face is literally a forgotten history of Fazbear Entertainment. If anyone qualifies for a forgotten name and face, it's Edwin, Fiona, and David Murray. People who were involved in Fazbear's creation, who helped with the making of the animatronics and the restaurant we know, who are completely wiped from the official documents. People that, for all intents and purposes, don't exist. People that were forgotten on purpose. So the fact that this is coming out after Secret of the Mimic and is a possible DLC for the game itself leads me to believe that Secret of the Mimic is going to be involved here, or at least the Mimic itself. Alright, so something related to Princess Quest, or Glitchtrap, and something related to Forgotten Names and Faces, or Secret of the Mimic. Is that all we have to work with? Well, not quite. I think the name of the song itself, or the caption related to it, is equally important here. And not just because it's referencing an old Princess Quest song, but because of the meaning behind it. Look, I understand the Abyss title system has existed for some time, and the Abyss mention here is likely just to reference the Princess Quest song. Or maybe that's internally the code for this motif. But I think the insistence on the Abyss is important here, especially how it's being presented. Let's go over that second tweet again. In deepest, darkest depths of my despair, I find myself without a saving grace. What if this quote is more literal than we're giving it credit for? Sure, the Abyss is a constant reference to Princess Quest, but what if this is referencing somebody trapped in the deepest, darkest pits of despair? Someone who no one is coming to save, without a saving grace. This might not just be a fanciful metaphor. This might be what we're dealing with in this upcoming game. Are you seeing it yet? Not to Blue's Clues you here, but we have 3 clues to work with. You can tell I've been watching a lot of it recently. We have Princess Quest, which links us to somebody being targeted by Glitchtrap. We have Forgotten Names and Faces, which links us to something related to Secret of the Mimic. And we have the Abyss, which could be someone trapped in a dark place with no rescue. If we put these 3 clues together and sit in our thinking chair and think, I think this is telling us about Cassie, a girl who, throughout Ruin, is being targeted by Glitchtrap. So much so that in one of the endings, her mind is fully taken over. A girl who most recently squared up against the Mimic for the entire DLC. In Edwin Murray creation, something originated from, well, Secret of the Mimic. And a girl who, no matter what ending you get in Security Breach Ruin, remains trapped under the Pizzaplex, the darkest pit we've seen so far in this game. Even further below, in the caves around it. I think this upcoming FNAF game, Forgotten Names and Faces, whether it's a DLC to Security Breach, Secret of the Mimic, or a new game entirely, is going to be about Cassie, and ultimately asking the question that was teased in that initial post. When you fall into the abyss, who will catch you? Note that this isn't saying who will pull you out, who will rescue you. No, who will catch you? When you fall into the abyss, who will welcome you in and hold you tight? Let me set the stage as to what I think this new game might be with the information we have. The next game opens as we, the player, are having a wonderful time at Fazbear's Fall Fest, an annual tradition here in the 70s, one that everyone loves and goes to, just outside of Murray's Costume Manor in the field by the lake, with robots like you've never seen and rides like you could only dream. But as we play, something sinister is following us. Some robot that keeps wearing different costumes and trying to catch us off guard, trying to take us to some unforeseen location. We're unsure as to what this robot might do, and in-game it would likely just lead to a game over if we're caught, so we'd never find out. But we know this robot is trying to catch us, and we need to avoid it at all costs. This is the main game, trying to enjoy the Fall Fest while avoiding this sinister robot stalking us in every costume it can get its hands on. And if you manage to survive the night and enjoy your time, you're greeted by your good friend Gregory at the end, one who tells you he's been looking all over for you, but he can't wait to do it with you again next year. And the two of you find a comfortable spot to sit down, relax, and look over the Fall Fest that you've just enjoyed. And you find yourself calming and being still. Your eyes slowly shut till you fall asleep, but you wake up back at Fall Fest, ready to start the day and enjoy it once again. That's the main ending for this game. The story ending. The one where you survive Fall Fest, you outsmart the robot, but you wake up at the same Fall Fest once more. And as you begin to discover, surviving isn't the only thing you can do here. Something is obviously wrong. If you look deep enough, there are cracks to this festival. Literally almost visible cracks in the area around you. Something sinister is going on here, and dispersed throughout this festival are opportunities to expose it. Things you can do, items you can manipulate to lay the groundwork to escape. Oil barrels you can open or knock over. Hay bales you can bunch together. Matches you can find. And each time you do one of these cracks, these issues with your Fall Fest grow deeper and spread further, until eventually the final confrontation with the robot occurs. It knows what you're trying to do, and instead of stalking you in the background, it attempts to stop you in the foreground. But if you manage to evade it, it's much too late for this robot. You set off the chain of events to have a roaring fire take over Fall Fest, burning everything down around you, until the entire Fall Fest is up in flames, and this robot begins to panic, almost as if it's remembering something it tried its best to forget. Horrible memories coming back, forgotten names and faces being thrown in its face. And in that moment, that horrible screaming moment, the illusion shatters. The AR world around you disperses, and Cassie blinks awake in the caves underneath the Pizzaplex. There was never any Fall Fest, and she was never safe. All of this was the vision we received in the mask at the end of Ruin. That ending labeled Brazil ending in the code, where you put on the mask and you see a hill with Gregory, Helpy, and balloons floating up in the background. The same hill we see a picture of in Secret of the Mimic, overlooking the factory. The same hill next to the FNAF 4 house that, if the Fall Fest 83 lobby is anything to go off of, is right next to it. Right next to the lake where Fall Fest took place, right next to the FNAF 4 house, right next to the lake in front of MCM in Secret of the Mimic. This shot is of Fall Fest. The shot that shows Glitchtrap fully taking over Cassie's mind. The shot that I think is the canon ending of Ruin. The shot that directly leads into this game, Cassie being trapped in the abyss of Glitchtrap, only to break out, get freed, and realize she's in an even deeper, darker depth. And once she's out, who's there but the Mimic standing in front of her, ready to welcome you into the abyss, ready to catch you when you fall. What do you think? Look, my plot might be pretty much fanfiction at this point, because we don't have a lot of evidence to point to what this actually could be. But frankly, I think this is not only logical, but a really fun and interesting way to go. I was right, this is about Cassie. For context, I wrote this script like a week ago when I was looking at the actual teasers and all the stuff that goes around it. But Wednesday, this past Wednesday, 2 days before this video comes out, Leon Riskin did it again. He posted another teaser, this time with this song with the title, Fixing Elevators. And the caption, "Elevators can't be trusted, take the stairs," which is already setting alarm bells off for Cassie, After all, she fell in an elevator shaft at the end of Ruin. But it gets even deeper than that, because if you look at the hashtags on the post, most of them are funny or appropriate, but there's some that don't make any sense. Hashtag BE, hashtag TTY, hashtag LOU, and hashtag Oliver. But if you put them together, it spells out the name Betty Lou Oliver, who happens to hold the current world record for surviving the longest elevator fall. Again, what happens at the end of Ruin but Cassie falling down an elevator? This is going to be Ruin 2. This is going to be the follow-up for what happens to Cassie after. I still think this theory is what we're going to see, but the setting of it is that Cassie is still stuck in that cave. It's similar to Help Wanted 2 in that sense that the initial game we're playing isn't the real game we're experiencing, but it's all in on that. Something that you don't even get to manually change, you have to break out of. And frankly, it's something that I think is right up Scott Cawthon's alley. As a science fiction lover, breaking out of your own mental matrix is right up his alley. But what do you think? Am I way off base? I think it's at least pretty clear that this is a teaser for some upcoming FNAF project that I cannot wait for. But I'd love to hear your takes in the comments below. In the meantime, if using a tweet to make an entire video about isn't insane enough, last week they added a silhouette to Secret of the Mimic, and I talked about it for 10 minutes, which you can find right here. If you want your fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share it with hashtag ToastArt. A huge thank you to the best channel members, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.